Hello, my name's Celia Bray, and I'm a psychologist and the owner of Somatic psychology business. I provide online counselling and therapy for people. And today we're talking about how counselling can help you in everyday life. So everyday life is often stressful, to say the least. A lot of the time we're really busy. A lot of the time we feel like we don't have time for ourselves. Whenever we do have time for ourselves, we just try to chill out in any way we can, or we end up just finding ourselves online or doing things that we know in our hearts are probably not the best for us in that moment. And even when we are doing all the right things, like meditation and yoga or exercise, and you've got a good community, it can still feel like that there's a tiredness or you're frazzled. And so counselling is really helpful in everyday life. One of the key things it does, especially working somatically, which is about trusting your body's wisdom, it helps you work out where your boundaries are. So when you're in tune with your body, you'll get clear sensations when you're about to say yes to something or do something that's actually not aligned for you. Because it will feel, ugh. You'll notice it in your chest will tighten, or your stomach will tighten, whatever, you'll feel it because you're connected to your body. And in that moment, even if you find yourself saying yes because it's a habit, you'll then notice even more unpleasant sensations coming up and going, no, this is not right for me. I'm too stressed. I don't have time for this. And then instead of continuing and resenting it, which is what we often do, we continue to try and help people because we feel like we should, even when it's too much for us. You can actually recognize the boundaries really quickly, and you can start to say, you know what, I'd love to, but right now I'm not going to be able to do that. And that's incredibly empowering. And even if you do say yes to something, then you can actually renegotiate that because you, A, are aware of where your boundaries are and what you need, and B, with counselling and awareness, you start to be able to have those conversations with people when you do, because we all override our boundaries at times, and often we need to override them to find out where they are sometimes. Sometimes we kind of say yes to something and then feel, so then we go, oh, oops, actually, I need to step back from that. And people can be threatened by putting in good boundaries. It's like, oh my gosh, what will people think? So that's another area where counselling can be really helpful, to start to see the beliefs that you have that keep you overriding your own internal truth. Working somatically will also help you to feel much less inner conflict, because you will know how to align internally when you're making decisions. Doesn't mean you won't have your to's and fro's in decision making. It doesn't mean everything will be seamless and everything will be easy, but it really helps you to land with a decision that feels right and that you can feel confident to step forward with. Your mind might still be having a heart attack about stuff, but you know that the mind's not captain of the ship when you're working somatically. And so you can actually re-recruit your mind to say, okay, instead of stressing about that, I know this is the right decision for me, even if logically it might be a bit different from what I've done in the past, because I can feel it in my somatic wisdom and my somatic truth, and my body actually really knows that. And so let's work out how to make this work. And then your mind has a job it can do, which it loves to have. The other benefits in daily life is energy. You'll have a lot more energy because you won't be in this internal tug of war as much. You'll also be looking at ways to fill up your bucket and ways to make sure that you're resourced. So you'll be building in places to pause in your life and regenerate authentically. So instead of running on vapors and keeping on going until we feel like we've got nothing left, then through counselling, you can build in that self-care process. One of the biggest things I find people struggle with is actually giving themselves permission to have their own needs met. It seems like a thing that should be easy for us to do, but it really, so many of us don't know how to do that and feel this huge amount of guilt. And so really working with that to give yourself permission to put yourself as a priority, because when you give to others, When you're empty yourself, there's resentment, there's anger, there's exhaustion. But when you are filling up your own tank and you know where your boundaries are, and you know how to do that, when you give, it's with a full heart and it doesn't deplete you. So it's not about becoming a selfish twat that's only concerned about themselves. It is about filling up so that you can give authentically. The other benefit is clarity. So you'll be clearer on what energizes you and what doesn't. You'll also be able to have strategies to work with the escalated nervous system. So if you start to feel anxious or you start to feel overwhelmed, you'll recognize it much more quickly, and then you'll be able to put in processes to come back into that window of presence. So there's so many benefits. And so these are just a few. So I just wanted to let you know some of those. And if any of those resonate with you, then perhaps it's a good opportunity to go into counselling and explore what that might look like for you. Thank you very much for listening.